So we've already, now that we've finished all the tear off out here, and we didn't get it on camera. It was kind of towards the end of the day, and we were trying to hurry up and get them lined up. Plus, with trying to find the square and all that, it just takes some time. But we've got all of our lines marked for where our footers, main outline of the footers, need to be dug. Which also we are going to have to dig down enough for the basement. This addition is actually going to have a basement on it, which is going to be 10 feet from the floor level of the inside floor to the floor level at the in the basement is going to be 10 feet down. So we got to figure out how far down we got to dig at the high point, how far down we got to dig at the low point. And one other thing was they were concerned, the homeowner was concerned about spacing for storage. So we have added a little bit of extra space for storage. I talked with him this morning. He was trying to decide if he wanted to add it. Basically told him, because of the fact that we had to put the wall in anyway, the only real added spot is the added concrete that we have to add and the labor for that. But other than that, I mean, we're already doing basically everything else. So it's not too much expense, and it'll give him actually a decent bit of storage. It would get him roughly about 100 square feet of storage, actually about 20 feet long by roughly by 5 feet deep. So we still got to mark off that one last wall. We hadn't marked that because he was trying to decide if he wanted it there or if he wanted it where it normally was, which is a difference of a 5 foot span, of course, for the 5 foot how far back we would dig. So now we have to figure out exactly how far down we got to dig. I'm gonna flip the camera around here. So you can see here got all of the lines marked out for where we're going to dig. Let's back the camera up a little bit so you can see right up there. That's where we're going to go in there. It'll come across and then it'll go up through there. So that is about these lines for these footers. So we have to come past the point a little bit for our footers to have a little bit of extra overhang on this side of the brick and everything. This is roughly around 33 feet. The actual addition is 32 feet 6 inches this way, and then across here is roughly about 21 from the outside mark to the outside mark over here. The inner one is we want at least 24-inch footer width there. 18 inches is all that's required, but if you end up being slightly off, because once where it's dug out and we're not going at this slope, because this thing slopes down a good bit, not sure how noticeable it is on camera, but it slopes down a good bit. And so when you're measuring from up there to down here and across this way, because it also slopes this way, those measurements, it's really hard to make sure they're actually square because you're doing it at an angle as well. So that can affect that slightly. So just going that extra 6 inches gives you a little bit extra play when you actually start putting in the brick and the block, because that's when you can really make sure everything's good and square. So what we're going to do to figure out how far down we got to dig, so where we tore off this addition here, we can see right here we've got the actual floor joist, the rim board here, and then right here, this is the subfloor that's inside, which is about 3/4 inch thick, an old 1x. And then on top of that right here, that's actually where the wall is, because the door was actually over that way a little bit. But either way, this is our reference point. All we need to do is measure up from here 3/4 inch up, and that's how high the floor roughly will be on the inside when you add 3/4 hardwood flooring, which is what they're going to use up top. So we can just measure up 3/4 inch and then use that as our reference point. We need to be 10 feet down from that mark. Now our transit only has an 8-foot stick. However, that's not a problem, because we're like down here, there's a little spot, we're away from all of our digging to where we won't be interfering with it with any of our equipment. And we set it up down here. What we'll do is we'll use that mark and we'll bring the stick down however far it comes to hit this point, and then whatever that is, hopefully it'll be, say, around 3 feet or more. The farther down the brick that we get up here, if we can get as close to the bottom as possible with this reference point, then if, say, we want 10 feet and we end up being 4 feet down, well, then our stick, because we're going to basically flip it around and reverse the other way, our stick only needs to be 6 feet. So it being 8 feet long of a dipstick that we get to use for that little reader is not going to be a problem. So we're going to go ahead and figure out how deep we need to be. So I was getting ready to set up my tripod here, and we got us a nice little mouse. Look at him. Little bitty thing. Super tiny. Probably no bigger than the front end of my thumb. Like, seriously, he is small. Just look at him. Yeah, no bigger than the front end of my thumb. A tiny little bitty mouse. So, we're not going to kill him. There's no reason. We'll let someone else deal with that problem. This is just a house that's being worked on. He's outside. That's where he belongs. Delivery. Mark right here. I need someone to hold it on there. Hold it right there. Good up there. Right. So we've got 5 foot, 3 1/8. So that's going to be 5 foot, and we'll go 5 foot 3 inches. That'll give us some plate. So, Where'd that last stake go? Yeah, need that and a hammer. We gotta make a grading point that we can then find over and over.
Okay.
So as we dig out more and more, and if it's a different day, this is not set up exactly in the same spot, we can still refine that point. When we do it over here, it should be out the way. Make sure this is good.
Above.
It's pointing
The
down.
lines are all above.
So it's pointing down.
You go down.
How much?
2 bars. So it's out a little bit.
2?
Now paint that red so people can watch out for it.
And so we can find it easy.
What'd you do with the printing, Toby?
Should be right over there. Should be. So that's our grade point that we got to get down to. .1 3 inches. .7.
We were supposed to. We were going to move that by hand, but he's like, I think I can pull it back there.
.4 3 inches. Alright, so you move the lines, and I need that 4 foot line painted.